I've never unboxed an Angry Meow product before, and that's because they usually just stick to keyboards. But what's this? A mouse? Yes, that's right. Angry Meow is releasing a mouse, the Infinity Mouse, and it looks very unique. I don't know if you guys will be getting these boxes in the retail packages, but it comes in this neat little briefcase so I can look like a very serious business person. Comes with a mouse, comes with a matching aesthetic dongle with a removable battery. That's important. We got our quick start stuff, a 6-foot cable, a USB A to C adapter, and a little bag. How well does the mouse fit in here? Perfect. There's not a separate compartment for the other things, which is, I guess, a little bit of a bummer, but not a huge deal. Other than that, that's all that's in here. Instead of doing what most manufacturers do and playing it safe, Angry Meow has gone the other way and has this very funky, organic, mechanized design that I think will be hit or miss. I kind of dig it, although for a mouse, it's probably not gonna be the most comfortable experience, but in terms of just pure aesthetics, it's pretty nice. Magnesium alloy body, which means that it can be very rigid even with a small amount of material. Angry Meow claims that this is the lightest metal mouse in this form factor, and at 49 grams, it's hard to disagree. At 49 grams, this says 50, I'll call that margin of error. This is a very, very light mouse. And because it's based on F1 card that was the lightest in the 1978 season, you know it's gonna be really good. Let's explore the body. We got our left and right clicks. We have our scroll wheel with a click. These clicks feel pretty good. The travel is kind of long actually for a mouse button, but it's consistent all the way up to the top here. That's actually pretty impressive that it doesn't feel that different all across the mouse button. Scroll wheel is pretty low resistance. It feels fine, although less premium than the clicks, but that might just be the fact that it's rubber as opposed to metal. It's got back and forward plastic buttons on the side that are blue. That's definitely an interesting aesthetic choice. I'm guessing they chose it as a complement to the orange of the removable battery packs, which we'll get to. I'm not sure I love that, but I do like transparent things, so I'm a little bit torn. On the bottom, we have our PAW 3950 as well as several glide pads. Those are pretty small, so we'll have to measure how smooth that's gonna be. If we remove our battery pack, we have 3 magnetic pads as well as 1 little slot for the extra magnet on the battery. Big departure from pretty much every electronics maker. We have removable batteries, which I'm a big fan of. Except that they then claim that that provides infinite battery life because you can charge one battery while you're using the other. And while that's true in a sense, that's not how infinite works, in my opinion. I don't know, maybe you watching at home think that justifies the term infinity. You let me know down in the comments below. There are mice that have removable batteries, but they're generally AA or AAA, so to have a little removable lithium ion pack I think is a pretty cool move, and it seems like a pretty nifty design to have it just kind of pop in and out like that and have the charger built into the dongle. I think that's actually really smart. One thing that I kind of glossed over because I think you can see is this open design where you can actually see the PCB and all the parts inside the mouse. I think that it's super striking, very sci-fi with an organic sort of twist because of these irregular shapes. Looking into the mouse and seeing all these parts is really nifty. You can literally see the parts name for the sensor as well as the other parts on this PCB. That being said, an open design like this comes with some pretty serious trade-offs, mostly in the cleanliness realm. Obviously dust and other particulates can get into here, causing reliability issues more than a closed shape design. It's gonna be a preference thing. Traditionally, I like closed design mice more. I've come around a little bit to not minding honeycomb or open design as much, depending on the way the shape is. For me, the mouse is resting right where the fingers kind of meet the palm, and it's sort of landing on these edges that I find is not a super comfortable fit. It's definitely not the worst, and I think it really depends on your hand shape. I have fairly small fingers and a medium-sized palm. Feels like it'd be a little bit irritating after a long time of rubbing, but the trade-off is that 49-gram weight. The last two things that I haven't talked about yet are the mode switch button, which allows you to go from wired to dongle use to Bluetooth, which is a nice convenience, as well as Type-C charging, which is a must in 2025, in my opinion. Other than that, pretty standard mouse, and besides where my hand lands on this sort of edge, pretty nice shape. My fingers rest naturally on these buttons, and it feels like a very natural mouse to use. The glide pads seem to be doing a pretty adequate job. I have a G Pro X Superlight with glass skates at home, and that makes it a super smooth experience with big, giant glass glide pads. And so this isn't quite up to that snuff, but it's definitely within the realm of good. You know what else is good? Our sponsor.
War Thunder. Join over 70 million players and take command of over 2,500 planes, ships, and tanks in War Thunder, the comprehensive and immersive online vehicle combat game. Each war machine is uniquely modeled after its real-life counterpart, all the way from World War II era tanks to fighter jets from the modern era. And whether you're landing or taking hits, vehicles will appear and react relative to the amount of damage inflicted. It's available for PCs, consoles, and even mobile devices. So click our links in the video description and get started today.
Once I figured out which part of the Switch was the 2.4 gig mode, I switched to that and away we go. We got some crazy RGB on our dongle, which as long as I'm able to disable in software is okay. We're getting a look at this mouse before it's released, so this is pre-release software. So it might be a little bit different when you were considering this mouse. But it looks pretty bare bones. You can reassign buttons. You can set macros, change the DPI. We can set our DPIs. There is no DPI switch button by default, but you could set one of your 5 buttons to be a DPI switch, which I don't think most people will do. I'm not a DPI switcher on the fly, so that's not a huge deal. I usually set it at 800 and leave it there. Parameter, oh, that's nice. So you have a USB key debounce, 2.4 key debounce, which will basically just be the speed at which it rejects double bounces. We're gonna leave it all the way at the top. We can set the standby times as well as the polling rate, because I didn't even mention this is an 8K polling rate mouse that chews your battery a lot more than lower polling rates, but theoretically should get you a smoother experience. Personally, I haven't experienced a huge difference between 1,000 and 8,000. Okay, cool, I can change the color of the mouse light when it's charging. We can reset, getting everything back to default. Oh, you can download profiles. So you could save a profile and download it to a different computer, presumably. My guess is it saves a profile to the mouse, but if you're switching computers and want to have multiple profiles, you can save it and download it. That's nifty. Like I said, pretty bare bones software, but it's nice to have the option to control stuff if you wish. The magnets feel very, very secure, but I'm wondering if I threw a tantrum, if I could get this battery to fall out. Oh, I just got killed! It stays pretty good.
I have to be shaking it off the table.
It's good. It's good. Let's play some games. I've double checked that we are set at 800 DPI. It feels a little bit fast, but when I play competitive shooters, I usually do play at 1080p, so that does have an impact. This FOV is making these dots so friggin' small. Yeah, like I said, I don't play competitive shooters anymore. I kind of suck. First impressions, this mouse is working pretty darn flawlessly. Makes sense, it's one of the flawless sensors. And the input latency when we tested it in labs was around 4 milliseconds, which is quite good. And it's about the same wired versus wireless Bluetooth. There's an added bit of latency, but if you're playing competitive games via Bluetooth, that's crazy. I didn't even talk about the feel of the side buttons. I think they're appropriately clicky and they're in about the right spot. They're more rubbery than I immediately thought. Like there is kind of resistance from sliding across. I think they feel kind of premium. I kind of dig them. I have to say, no complaints about the performance of this mouse. It feels very premium, very responsive. Comfort issues aside, which are always a preference thing, I think this is a very, very solid option to consider. The fact that I'm more interested in playing than really testing out this mouse tells me all I need to know. This is a good mouse with a flawless sensor, good performance, very, very, very light, premium body, maybe a bit divisive of an aesthetic, but
at $150.
When you compare it to the Viper Mini Signature at $300 US, this is a pretty darn compelling package from a company that hasn't traditionally made mice. And so I'm excited to see their next one, maybe a more traditional shape or a revision of this V that doesn't really work for me, but it's definitely a mouse worth considering for you. And let us know in the comments below if this is a mouse you would consider, just like you should consider watching more short circuits like our unboxing of the Razer Viper Mini. A very, very nice mouse, but it's a little more expensive.